If you've ever found yourself in this cycle of trying to fix your money, falling off the wagon, then feeling guilty, and then having to reset again the next month, this video will change everything. Over the last 4 weeks, we've talked about how to create real breathing room in your budget, why traditional budgets don't work, how your patterns shape your money, and what it takes to build real financial freedom. But there's a piece we haven't talked about yet. And it's the one that actually determines whether or not any of this sticks. Because at the end of the day, consistency is not about discipline. It's about having the right financial rhythm to fit your life. But before you can create that rhythm, you have to figure out the reason behind why you keep starting and stopping when it comes to fixing your finances. Here's the truth that most of us don't talk about. The reason why you keep starting and stopping isn't because you're irresponsible or you've just decided that you don't want to do this. You start with the best of intentions. You start with excitement, motivation, and you're ready to do this once and for all. The issue is that you face obstacles that you really don't know how to surpass. When you see these obstacles, the first place your mind goes to is getting back to what feels familiar. And what ends up happening is you play it safe by going back to the patterns you've already been using to manage your money. But we already know those patterns don't work. Those systems don't work. The cookie cutter approach that you've used time and time again has caused you to stay in place. And a lot of times you're running in place. And that is exhausting. Today, I want to show you a clear path of how you can remove these obstacles from your entire system so that as you move forward, you don't have that friction that always stops you from progressing. In order for you to reach your financial goal, become debt free, or save for a house, or have that cushion for retirement, you have to start doing things differently. You have to stop approaching it as a character flaw and instead look at the system that you're using and change the things that make it difficult for you to stick with it. For example, if you are on the go 5 days a week and you don't have time to make dinners, you wouldn't realistically plan for a 5 course dinner every night, would you? No, because you wouldn't be able to commit to something like that. And what will end up happening is you might be able to stick through it the first night. I'm willing to bet that in the second night, you're going to be so tired and resentful of that new plan that you're going to go get takeout or you're going to go grab a frozen pizza. And in both cases, you're going to feel like somehow you failed. Looking at it from the outside, it's completely obvious why that system wouldn't work for you, especially if you are someone who's busy and has limited time. So, why do you do this with your money? Why do you create an unreasonable goal that already feels hard before you've even started? This is what we do. And instead of saying, well, we're creating an unrealistic goal, we say, we need more discipline. We need more focus. We need more undivided attention to our goal. And when we fail, it's our failure. It's a character flaw. It's something wrong with us. So today, we're going to scratch all of that because none of that works. And instead, we're going to create realistic steps and a map that makes sense for how we actually live and the capacity that we can actually take on from day to day. Because you can still fix your finances and become financially free without spending endless hours working on it. And in a lot of ways, limited time is a blessing in disguise because it creates this urgency to focus on the right things and completely ditch the wrong things that are just taking your time and distracting you from the actual goal. So today, I'm sharing 5 simple habits that will help you stay consistent even during your busiest weeks. These 5 habits will be your stabilizers. They're going to help you reset so you can start your system from a solid foundation. Now, before we go into the first step, let me remind you that this is part 5 of the 5-part Freedom Budgeting series. I'll leave the playlist somewhere for you on the video and inside the description box so that you can check out the entire playlist. Now, let's get into step 1. Step 1 is the 2-minute morning preview. Now, you can do this while you're brushing your teeth, getting your coffee ready in the morning, or just warming up your car. Whatever you decide, all you need is just 2 minutes. You're going to look at what's coming in and what's going out. You're going to look for anything that creates friction for you and anything that is a win. Meaning, do you see an expense that you feel like is stressing you out, making you worry, making you feel anxious? And are there any wins that you know of from the night before or that you know of for today that feels like a win? Did you pack a lunch so that you can save money while you were at work? Did you bundle up a couple of errands that helped you save money on gas? Did you put in your grocery order online so that you didn't have to have the temptation of shopping in store? Whatever those wins are, I want you to write down one and also think about the expenses that create friction for you. Step two is the weekly look back. So we said step one was the preview. Now we're going to talk about the review. So you're going to take this week without shame, without any type of emotion attached to it. I want you to objectively write down these 4 questions in a journal, on a piece of paper, even in your notes app on your phone. What worked? What didn't? What felt stressful? And what will I repeat next week? These 4 questions will help you objectively see what expenses or what things happened in this week that you either don't want to repeat again or you want to double down on. This will help you amplify the things that are working, accelerate your progress to your goals, and they'll minimize the things that are causing friction, the things that are slowing you down, and the things that are making you feel stuck. Step 3 is all about creating that lever system. You're going to reduce one thing while increasing another. Simple, right? This could look like cooking one more night at home so you could reduce takeout that week. So take a few minutes to really think about those 2 things, and all you're going to do is add them for next week. Now, as a community, we want to help inspire one another and to give better ideas for what we can do in our own finances. Because let me tell you, if you're someone who's feeling overwhelmed right now, you might be thinking, I am completely blanking out and I have no idea what to choose for these 2 things. And it is so helpful when you see some comments come through and you see things that you can actually adopt in your own life. This will be incredibly helpful for those who feel stuck and are not really sure what to do with this step. So if you've already thought of those 2 things, write them down, share them in the comments, and let's work as a community to do better with our finances together. Now, this works really well because it helps you create momentum without the overwhelm, but it does something even better. It takes you out of that all or nothing mindset. Because let me tell you, sometimes I can fall into this cycle of all or nothing. I either have a very clean house or I have a full, sloppy mess on my hands. And it took me a really long time to find a balance between the all or nothing trap, and this is one of those things that will help you get rid of the all or nothing mindset when it comes to your finances. And if you're like me, this step is really going to help you because it's going to take you out of that perfectionist mindset of the all or nothing and will help you create a balance that keeps you consistent so you can stick with the process. Number 4 is the forecast plan. Now, a lot of times we have really busy, chaotic weeks. But here's the thing, most of us know what days those are going to fall on. Since those days tend to be out of our control and we don't have a lot of leeway anyway, let's do as much as we can to make that day as smooth as possible. If you know that your Wednesday and Friday are going to be super busy this week, chances are you're not going to be able to plan for a lot of the things that you need to do. So you're going to use one of your less busy days, whether that's a weekday or a weekend, and you're going to plan ahead for those chaotic days. You tend to spend more money on your busiest days. So to combat that, we're going to do some planning. The more you can plan for those chaotic days and have everything set up, the less you'll spend money because you'll have everything needed for those days to work. The more proactive you could be, the less reactive you have to be. Now, we've talked about resets before. Number 5 is preset. You're going to preset yourself for the following week. What would next week's version of me want handled beforehand? For example, during this week, Was there something that overwhelmed you or made you feel stressed? Was there something that you felt like, man, I should have done this ahead of time? Focus on those things, write them down, and I want you to start taking care of them ahead of time so that every single week that passes by becomes easier and easier because now you are keeping notes of the things that are causing friction in your weeks. When you do this, what you're doing is you're becoming this version of yourself that pre plans and that's building the future that you want to start living. So you're setting yourself up for success. When you do this, you're more likely to actually follow through with your week's plan and you're more likely to keep the promises you made for yourself. So not only are you getting a smoother week the following week, but you are evolving into a different person, a newer person, and someone who is more than capable and confident to handle their money in a way that is sustainable long term. Now, these 5 steps that we just talked about, they are your stabilizers. They help you take control today so that you don't feel overwhelmed, so that you don't feel like you don't know where to start. This is your reset. Now, it wouldn't be fair to you if I just gave you the 5 simple steps and helped you reset without telling you how you can also go deeper. I will be building this out with you and going much deeper so that you have the structure, the personalized plan, and the cash flow systems that can get you to where you want to go with your finances so that you actually have the breathing room to make the decisions that you want to make for your life. This is all happening inside Blueprint. Blueprint is my live 90-day course where I walk you through the rich method, showing you how to reclaim your resources, align your spending with your actual values, create real cash flow on purpose for your purpose, and honoring your future plan so that you can live in the moment while you level up and reach that financial freedom that gives you the space to dream and to live on your terms. But here's the catch, because I am building this in real time with you, I'm only allowing 25 women to come in. I'll leave the info and the link in the description box. So if you're interested to learn more, you can go there. And if you take nothing from this video, I want you to hear this loud and clear. Your financial goals are not out of reach. You have what it takes to reach them. You just need the right map and the right steps to get you there. It's not about discipline. It's about creating a rhythm that actually fits with your finances and how you're wired to behave with money. Once you understand that, you're able to unlock all of the obstacles that have been keeping you stuck all these years. Now, if this video is helpful, make sure you hit subscribe and check out the playlist and all the other videos in this series so that you can get the full picture of what it means to have financial freedom and more options to live life on your terms. I'll see you next time.